Hi, everybody. Dennis Prager here with you. Reminder that following this hour is the male-female hour, as this is Wednesday again. Isn't that amazing? Again. It's difficult to watch the so-called hearings with regard to January 6th in a committee appointed by Nancy Pelosi. I think it's unprecedented that they would have such a committee and people be knocked off by the party that's in the majority. So it's a show trial. There are two types of show trials. The most common were where you just knew in advance that somebody was guilty, and the Soviets perfected it. That's where the term show trial originated. Then there is a show trial where you protect the guilty and you don't look for any of the truth. A show trial is a preordained verdict. That's what a show trial is. This is a show trial. The movement of the United States towards becoming like the Soviet Union is real. People from the Soviet Union can't believe that they moved to the freest country and are watching their history being somewhat, not yet fully, but somewhat replayed. And if it were up to the Democratic Party, it would be fully replayed. All dissent would be suppressed. How many hours of video do we have of what actually happened January 6th? Do you have it there?
14,000.
I'm sorry?
14,000.
14,000 hours are not being released by the United States government, by the Department of Justice. And we're supposed to believe that we know the truth about what happened January 6th? 14,000 hours? I didn't realize it was that much. I thought it was 2,000 hours. Fact is, if there was 1 hour, it would be relevant. And of course, the propaganda machines, the New York Times, which is all they are. That's all they are. Washington Post, CNN. They're spokespeople for the left. They have no other role. It is a phenomenon. So they don't talk to you about what a scandal this is, that we can't actually, the American people cannot see what actually happened that day. And why would that be? Really, this is not in the realm of the rhetorical. Why would it be that the Democratic Party does not want it released? Incidentally, I have an interesting question for you in this regard. If the Republicans were to win the House and the Senate, let's say, which is very possible in next year, though they will foment some other crisis in order to stay in power. That's all. That's what they do. But let's say it happens. Will they release the 14,000 hours? I assume the answer is yes. However, I believe they would be destroyed. I believe that the Democrats would destroy the 14,000 hours of evidence before the Republicans could release it. Do you think that that's a fair prognostication? Because that's the way they operate. They're thugs. I can't tell you how difficult it is for me to think of one party as thugs. I have no other term. There are many other terms. By the way, I love the word in Russian for thug, zlob. You got to admit it's nothing like Russian. It's a very colorful language. So that's where we're at. We're not getting anywhere near the truth about what happened on January 6th. Had a moment of silence for Officer Sicknick. Officer Sicknick may well deserve a moment of silence, but he wasn't killed during the riot, as reported over and over by the New York Times. Killed by somebody wielding a fire extinguisher. Turns out he was not hit by a fire extinguisher. Or if he was, it had no effect on his health in terms of being injured. We live we bathe, we swim in the world of lies, because truth is not a left-wing value. It's a liberal value, but the liberals keep the left in power. and it's a conservative value. The amount of stuff that you have to believe, this is a totalitarian mindset. Whether it is men give birth. Do you know that medical schools now are professors of medicine are apologizing for saying women give birth? Where was that piece? Did you send that piece to me? Where was that published?
In Substack.
Substack did? Yes. So it was a UC medical school. A professor apologized for saying women give birth. They're supposed to say birthing person. If medical schools are not saying women give birth, the battle is truly being lost for sanity, rationality, truth. It's mind-boggling. But you know who's waging the war against these professors? The young students who've been brainwashed. I mean, absolutely brainwashed. You can't say women give birth. You know how many medical students now think that? Medical students. I would say I would not want to be a patient of a doctor who refused to say women give birth. It'd be an interesting thing that the acceptance by women of this idea, the things that distinguish the female sex are now no longer distinguishing features of the female sex. Does it bother women? One of the glories of womanhood in every culture in history was the ability to carry a child. But now it is not true that women carry children. Men carry children too. There you go. Men carry children. I warned when the same-sex marriage issue arose many years ago, I warned over and over that the issue was not same-sex marriage, that the issue was that gender doesn't matter. That was the single greatest argument for the redefinition of marriage. Gender, which is the new word for sex, gender doesn't matter. So I said, gender doesn't matter? Really? No? I didn't predict that they would say men give birth, I admit. But I came close. Gender doesn't matter. There you go. There is no end. The reason there is no goalpost on the left is that there is no goal. The only goal is the tearing down of what currently exists. There is no other goal. The goal is some ephemeral world free of all inequity, which would mean, by definition, a totalitarian state. You can only have equity by violence. There is no other possible way to achieve equity. This is the future as the left gains power. The amount that people have to tolerate, and now the latest, children will have to wear masks again at school. Will you now take your children out of school and homeschool them? Or send them to a school that does not demand it? What, I have to ask you parents, or grandparents who have money so that you can help your children finance their lives if they have to take more time for their children. What exactly would it take for you to finally decide your child is being hurt badly by a regular private or public school? I never only pick on public schools. What would it take? Is that a fair question? Of course it's a fair question. Another year of not breathing normally, another year, or however long it will be, of not seeing other kids except their eyeballs? And you're okay with that? You can't say you're not okay with it and send the kid to school. Then you are okay with it. You are okay with something is determined by how you behave. 1-8-PRAGER-776.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. We are living in the age of surveillance capitalism. That's the title of a book by Shoshana Zuboff, whose thinking has shaped my own as we look on the growing power of big tech. The biggest flaw in most tech companies' business models is a general willingness to loot an individual's personal information, and thus his or her privacy without payment for this data and without informed consent. Did you know that a small percentage of apps provide your consent to remotely turn on your phone's microphone and record you after you sign their terms and conditions? I imagine your response is like mine. What? I'd never agree to that. I am certain a hard line on personal privacy would have a greater appeal to the public than many other issues currently separating the parties. Watch that vast uncharted space in which party moves to restore data that has been taken and to repair walls of privacy that were breached long ago. Whoever gets there first will be a long-term winner. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu.
Don't you get tired of commercials screaming at you to buy gold now with inflated promises on future values? In an unregulated industry, you need honest, real experts to give you solid advice to protect your wealth and top picks on the best coins and bullion based on real-time data and historical trends. For example, as environmental policy becomes a hot topic, one precious metal that's been significantly undervalued for years is potentially set to surge. Nick Rovich, owner of AmFed Coin and Bullion, has long recommended this precious metal. Up to 600,000 ounces of this rare metal will be needed by 2030 to produce green hydrogen. Nick is doubling down on this pick, and you should too. Call Nick at AmFed Coin and Bullion to find out more. I've been friends with Nick for years, and he's my go-to guy when it comes to coins and bullion. I trust him. He is a good and very knowledgeable man. Call Nick at 800-221-7694, 800-221-7694, AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com. Not one mistake.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Some lawyer hit a little girl.
Former cancer patient Sharon Blackwell was struck by an oncoming vehicle.
Take this into evidence, sir.
I need to call my wife. You've been accused of texting while driving.
Before you take your daughter off life support, give God room to be God.
You're not guaranteed another day, but you have today.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
The biggest story nationally is that Nancy Pelosi is attempting a coup in the House of Representatives. The Speaker has never been nonpartisan as they are in the British Parliament, but they have always respected party rule of their own caucuses and committee assignments, etc. Nancy Pelosi, having lost the effort to get an independent commission established for January 6th, that didn't get through the Senate because it was a not fair piece of law, and therefore it's languishing. She decided to put together her own committee. Again, that's her prerogative as the Speaker of the majority party. She usurped one of the positions on, it's not a fair split. Normally it would be 13 members, 7 Democrats, 6 Republicans. The leader of the Republicans would name the 6. Speaker Pelosi took 8 of the seats and named Republican Liz Cheney. People kind of thought about that for a while. They didn't like the precedent of the Speaker putting a member on, but they overlooked it. And Kevin McCarthy named 5 other members, including
Yes, everybody, Dennis Prager here. when the media serves one party, you have what you had in the Soviet Union, what you have in communist China, Cuba, etc. That is what we have in the United States. It's a fascinating, truly fascinating. If you don't care about the country, it's fascinating. If you care about the country, it's evil. So maybe for somebody looking in from a UFO coming from another civilization, it's just fascinating to watch the demise of the greatest country in the world, killed by half of its own citizenry, the left. Liberals are killing it as much as leftists are, but liberals don't believe what the left believes. If liberals stood up for their values, the country would be saved. That's where the battleground is. Well, conservatives have to fight. Liberals have to awaken to the fact that they support evil, and they won't. And I know why. Because they have been brainwashed into believing that the right is their enemy, not the left. So I know liberals, and when I raise any given issue, oh boy, Dennis, are you kidding? You think I support that? You think, of course not. Defund the police? What do you think? It's ridiculous. Just more innocent people will die. Okay. So why will you vote for the party that is for defunding the police? Well, who am I going to vote for? Trump? Who am I going to vote for? Republicans? Yeah, maybe if Romney were the nominee, then I would give it thought. I am now echoing what they say to me. They would say the same to you. They're interchangeable. That's exactly what they believe. Oh, yeah, but did you vote for Romney when he ran? No. So you would vote for Romney now. Look, I've said from the day I began lecturing and the day I began broadcasting and writing, I have contempt for humanity and love for humans. I really do. I mean, good people are a glory to God. You know how you glorify God? A lot of religious people say that's the human task. You glorify God by being good. By the way, that is not Prager 6:4. It's actually Isaiah. The holy God is made holy through righteousness. That's exactly what it is. Because good people are very rare. Nice people are very common. Thank God. I certainly prefer nice people to rude people in my daily interaction with others. But good people fight evil. Good people don't retire from the battle for their society when it has given them so much in particular. This is a charade. Do you understand what is happening in the House is a charade? We can't see what happened, and we can't have anybody inquire as to what happened, because in an unprecedented move in American history, Nancy Pelosi denied the Republicans their choice. So we have two jokers. They're jokers. Adam Kinzler and Liz Cheney. Lynn Cheney, sorry. Lynn Cheney. Liz Cheney is not a joker, right? Lynn Cheney. Or is it Liz Cheney? One of the two. One's the mom, and one's the daughter. This is the daughter.
You're right, it's Liz.
I was right in the first case. Might be a rare time that you might, I don't know. I'll debate about it. So Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzler. If they were honest, see, they should be Democrats. I would actually salute them if they became Democrats, but they know that if they became a Democrat, nobody would pay attention to them. Their names would become immediately unused in the media. But as Democrats with an R, then they are useful idiots for the left. That's what they are. Adam Kinzler and Liz Cheney are what the Soviets used to call useful idiots. Westerners who, in their naivete, supported the left. So those are the people on the committee. They're as interested in the truth about January 6th as I am interested. Well, I always try to come up with some silly analogy of something I'm not particularly interested in. The last one, I think, was bean production in Paraguay. Bean production in Paraguay. So I'll stick with that. By the way, I hate to belabor the point, frankly, but I think I'm more interested in bean production in Paraguay than they are in the truth of January 6th, because they actively suppress it. I don't actively suppress the truth about bean production in Paraguay. So there is no analogy. I don't know what I actively suppress. I ended the last segment by asking you, actually, what would it take for you to finally get your kids out of the cesspool known as most schools in this country? Cesspool. I hate using the term. Do you understand? I revere the concept of school. I revere the concept of teacher. I was raised in the Jewish tradition that puts the teacher on the same level as a parent. But the left has ruined the word teacher. I assume you are a left-wing fool if I hear you're a teacher. Now, I know that some teachers are wonderful, truly wonderful. I know that. I'm just telling you what I assume based on the average. Principal, teacher, from elementary school through graduate school. They've corrupted the profession of teaching because leftists ruin everything they touch. But now you will still send your kid wear a mask, you 5-year-old? No masks in Sweden for kids the entire year. Not one kid died. Not one kid in Sweden. Why is that? Or does that not matter to you? Of course it doesn't matter to you. Not you individually listening. Some of you, it matters. You, the American people, it doesn't matter because the NBC, ABC, and CBS and NPR didn't report that no kids in Sweden died. If they ever reported Sweden had a bigger death rate than Denmark and Norway and Finland. Right, that's the only thing that you hear. Send your kid to be masked? 1-8-PRAGER 776-877-243-7776. During the break, please note again, it's fundraising month for PragerU. We need your help to help this country. PragerU.com, 833-PragerU.
Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
Here's Tom Hanks. They enlisted Tom Hanks. They probably paid him a boatload of money. Then again, maybe they didn't need to because he's worth all the money maybe he's got all the money he needs. How about one of the most famous actors in America, Tom Hanks, making this major announcement?
Together we stand with all who understand what it means to be born and built from the land. Because this is the city we love and the game we believe in. And together, we are all Cleveland Guardians.
Now, you know they sat around and said, all right, we got to make this change. How are we going to tell our fans that we're not? I know, said the owners of the Cleveland Indians, I don't even know who owns the team, could care less. I don't even follow professional sports that closely. Maybe you do. It's boring. It's boring to hear people yammer about professional sports. The only people that are interested are people that are really into sports, and that's fine, but most people aren't. It's just a fact. Most people don't live and die by, the statistics and the standings in the AL West. I mean, and I'm not putting you down if you do, but most of us don't. All right. So I don't know who owns the team, but don't you just envision, what are we going to do? We'll pay Tom Hanks $10 million We'll put together a slick video with dramatic music, and we'll show all these great shots of Cleveland, and we'll try to convince people that we're uniting by changing the name of the Cleveland Indians since 1915.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Some lawyer hit a little girl.
The community is left in shock as former cancer patient Sharon Blackwell was struck by an oncoming vehicle.
Take this into evidence, sir.
I need to call my wife. You've been accused of texting while driving.
We don't make an example out of this guy, the public will crucify us. Before you take your daughter off life support, give God room to be God.
You're not guaranteed another day, but you have today.
The moon. Get back or I'll shoot you.
No one's left inside for the pastor and his two daughters.
If you run, I'll shoot your family. Nobody cares whether I live or die. It's bad.
I'm not going to stand around and be a part of it anymore. Give me the gun.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
The race is going extremely well. I'm in a dead heat with Terry McAuliffe, who's been doing this for 43 years. And Virginia voters are ready for a change.
I think you're actually ahead, Glenn Youngkin. I'll tell you why. Dan Ball's had a story in the Washington Post this week that polling is broken in America, systemically understating Republican support. So if you're tied in the polls, and you are, I actually think you're 5 points ahead of Terry. And I think Terry's worn out, tired, and boring. And I don't think he can beat you anyway. But it's good to run like you're behind, right?
Yeah, it is. You know, what's interesting is as soon as the polling came out last week, he called his friend Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's going to show up in Virginia campaigning. He's not coming far. He's just coming barely across the river. And I will tell you what this
Hi, everybody. I want to bring to your attention a book, Black History, 1619 to 2019, an illustrated and documented African-American history. The book is up at DennisPrager.com. It is, among other things, beautifully printed, which matters a lot to me, just as a matter of interest to you. My next volume of my Rational Bible 5-volume commentary on the first 5 books of the Bible is delayed a year because of the lockdown effect on getting things. And in this case, the paper that I have asked my book be printed on. So it's been delayed a year, unfortunately. But that's how adamant I am that good paper be used. I know it sounds silly to many of you. I don't think it is. The toilet paper that most books now are printed on is an insult, in my opinion, to literature. Anyway, that's not the most important point of this book. The most important point is that we needed desperately a non-woke history. And I have the 2 authors on. I'm going to find out where they are in the country right now. Sandra Yoakum is founder and president of the Yoakum African American History Association. Francis Rice is co-founder of the association. And they also have academic backgrounds and military backgrounds. Now, first of all, Francis Rice, where are you now?
I'm in Sarasota, Florida. How are you, Dennis?
I'm well, thank you kindly. And Sandra Yoakum, where are you?
I'm in Medina, Ohio, which is near Cleveland.
Which one of you did I meet?
Francis, here in Sarasota.
I met you in Sarasota when I spoke there a few months ago. That's right, and I was very impressed with your work, obviously. So it's a delight to have you both. And what is the aim of this book?
Sandra, take it away. Go ahead, Francis.
That's great. You each have deferred to the other. That was a very charming moment in my radio career. If I didn't interrupt, I wonder how long that would go on.
I am not sure. My aim, when I started to do the research, was really to present some amazing stories to some of the kids that I was working with. I was working with an underprivileged group in an after-school mentoring program, and they did not know the history of some of their amazing leaders from the black community. And I just thought that they should really know those folks and be proud of the achievements that these people have made.
So that's what spurred you to do it, because you felt they were, if I may use the word, ignorant of, in effect, their own history.
Well, that is partially right. I wrote to 14 black leaders in August 2015 asking for how could we make changes in the black community and maybe stop generational poverty. And Francis was the only one that actually wrote back. And from our association, she asked me would I be interested in writing some lesson plans. It started out as civil rights, but then we just sort of morphed into the wide range of history that is not, I can tell you, in public school history books, because I'm still substitute teaching, and I go into those rooms and I look in the history books, and I know it's devoid of these incredible stories. So that was what inspired me, and Frances, she had similar inspirations, and I'll let her share those.
Francis?
Indeed. Yes, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia during the 40s, 50s, and the 60s, and I experienced what was going on in those communities. And I just thought that when I saw what was happening lately with the critical race theory, they were misinterpreting and misreporting what happened, and I knew the truth. And I asked Sandy if she could write the lesson plans, and she spent 2 years of original research and wrote 14 lesson plans, and we used those lesson plans as the meat of the book that we wrote together, and we found at the Yoakum African American History Association. And you can visit our website and see the lesson plans, and you can see videos and the PowerPoints and the teacher's guide.
So is it fair to say that this is, whether intended or not, an antidote to the 1619 Project?
We started our project back in 2016 when she began the research, and we knew nothing about
Right, no, I agree with you. This had nothing to do with it then, but could it be described as that today?
Absolutely.
I believe it could.
Okay, good. All right, we'll be back in a moment with both of you. The book is up, an illustrated Black History, 1619 to 2019, an illustrated and documented African American history. ReliefFactor.com is the place to go for one of the greatest products I have ever advertised. It is a product on a mission to relieve people of pain, specifically joint and muscle pain. The thing works. Virtually everyone I know takes it. It's simply a safe anti-inflammatory. If it doesn't work in 3 weeks, they say, it probably won't work, so they give you a 3-week tryout price. $19.95 plus shipping. ReliefFactor.com, 800-500-8384.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
Liz Harrington, welcome to America First.
Hey, Sebastian, thanks so much for having me.
I gotta ask you, because I haven't seen the boss in a couple of weeks, how excited is he to be back on the campaign trail?
Oh, he's loving it. He can't wait to get back out there, and you could feel it, you could see it on Saturday. The people want it. I don't know if you saw those crowds, but waiting since Friday,
Yes.
thousands of people. Doesn't exactly look like someone who lost the state of Arizona, by the way. But this speech, that clip you played, that was also one of my favorites when, the only good thing about the Biden campaign were those perfectly drawn circles for the 6 fake news media to sit in.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
There will be no masks in Florida. Ron DeSantis yesterday spoke to us. Cut number one, the governor of Florida, on the questions of masks and school kids.
We look forward to this upcoming year to be a normal school year, be in person and live like normal and learn like normal kids. There's been talk about potentially people advocating at the federal level imposing compulsory masks on kids. We're not doing that in Florida, okay? At the end of the
We're
day,
not doing that in Florida. We're not doing it anywhere that I have anything to say with it, because it's silly and it's stupid and it doesn't work. Kids touch their faces. Kids take those masks off. Have you ever seen kids with masks? It's just not a very smart thing. I also want to run down the fact that a booster shot is likely to be necessary. It's going to be signaled by the CDC's advisory group. U.S. median home price hit a new record in June of $363,300 as sales increased 14% year over year on strong demand. President Biden is going to be the kiss of death for Terry McAuliffe in Virginia. NFL teams, they're going to be obliged to forfeit if a game can't be played because unvaccinated players cause a COVID-19 outbreak for the team. That's smart. The Intel CEO says the chip shortage could stretch into 2023. So much for your new cars costing less, Mr. President. How much will your Oreos cost? Companies test price increases. Inflation is everywhere. I no longer eat Oreos, though I love them. I'm sorry to hear that kids everywhere are going to have to pay more for their Oreos.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
I have the two authors of a very important book, because there are so few objective books, at least recently published, with regard to black history, because the agenda is to smear the United States. There's no interest in blacks by these people who write these books. There's an interest in smearing the United States and using blacks to do so. So here are two black scholars who've written Black History 1619 to 2019, and illustrated and documented African American history. It's just fascinating to look at the many photos. Let me read to you from the beginning here of their book and go back to them and thank them. The life of many Africans arriving on slave ships and sold to southern plantation owners was particularly troubling. Some were whipped, raped, and treated as objects. Black slaves had to endure many great hardships. Many had to learn to read and worship secretly. Yet, as L.H. Welchel describes in History and Heritage of African American Churches, slave families and communities were very strong, religious, and resourceful. Some slaves had houses, some had rooms in a master's house, others lived in filthy barns. Cotton picking was the most labor-intensive occupation, but blacks learned many different skills like sewing, blacksmithing, and carpentry. This book is no apology for the evils that were done to blacks, but it is a truthful book, and that is why I am having them on. I've had you on, and I want to commend you for this book. I asked you if it's an antidote to the 1619 project, and you said, well, it was written even before that thing ever came out, which is correct. It was not written to be one, but I am touting it as a truthful antidote to the lies of the 1619 Project. So let me give you each a final comment on this.
We believe that black history is American history, and our quest is to bring forth, as you've just said, truthful black history, so that we will know that American blacks participated in our founding and throughout American history, and their stories should not be lost or swept under rug for some political agenda.
And I would say that
This
right
is
out of the
Sandra,
gate-
right?
Yes. I would say right out of the gate, the 1619 Project does, it is skewed when we're talking about the American Revolution. In our book, we talk about the incredible people who were heroes of the American Revolution. Some were slaves, some were free blacks, and with the purpose of honoring our country, trying to gain freedom. And so I would say that, unbeknownst to Francis and I, this is certainly an antidote to the 1619 Project.
Well, okay. Francis Rice and Sandra Yoakum, I thank you both. And folks, if you want your children to learn an objective history, two black scholars, these women, have written it. And it is up at DennisPrager.com. Thank you both for your work.
Thank you
Thank you very much for having us.
Yes, my pleasure indeed. Many of you teach your kids, through homeschooling or simply supplement the propaganda they have at school with truthful works. This might be a start in that direction. Anyway, with the mask mandate, as I mentioned earlier now, kids having to wear masks, for which there is not only zero reason to believe scientifically that it helps them, there is much reason to believe it does not help them. Certainly psychologically, but including physically. I just live every day. More terrible stuff. What is the latest? Illegal alien has been banned? What does that mean, banned?
Can't say it.
You can't say it in a federal document?
Or if you're
What is the, or if you're what?
an employee.
Or an employee? Let me look at that. I want to take some calls. 1-8-Prager-776. This just came in, actually. Biden administration, let's see. Biden official orders immigration judges to stop using illegal alien term. I don't understand something. Is there anything that a president cannot order now? Well, what is the difference between a dictatorship, other than longevity, and the Biden administration? This is not meant as a cute question. Is there an answer? Is there anything he cannot order? President Joe Biden's administration has ordered federal immigration judges to stop using the terms alien and illegal alien to describe illegal aliens living in the United States. On July 23rd, Acting Director of the Executive Office for Immigration Review, Gene King, appointed by the Biden administration in January, issued a memo titled Terminology that orders immigration judges and adjudicators to stop using the terms alien and illegal alien. I just don't, I'm not kidding. Why do they have the right to do that? You can, a president can tell, remember, judges are the third branch of the government.
This is the bureaucracy. This is the acting director of executive.
No,
It's not Joe Biden himself.
okay, forget Joe Biden. It's his administration. I'm using Biden as interchangeable. Okay, the administrative state cannot tell a judge what language to use, okay, unless my understanding of the division of powers in America is faulty, which it may well be. I'm not a constitutional scholar, but I don't understand how the executive can tell a damn thing to the judiciary. Can they tell them when to go to the toilet? Judges will use toilets in the following hours. Why not? No, I forget the toilet question. I want to know how the administrative state tells judges what English to use. Can they tell them to not use me as a subject? I, rather than me and my friend went to the park? It's almost like a joke, but it's a bad joke. Okay, back in a moment. I'm Dennis Prager.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
Hunter Biden's getting $500,000. It's a bribe. It's disgraceful. And the fake news media is talking about it like it's okay.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what if Eric, what if Don Jr. were getting a cool $500,000 for some scribbles? I need to go to Central Park. I need one of those portraits. Let's ask somebody who's on Team Trump officially. She is President Trump's spokesperson, also the Save America PAC. And we're so excited to have her on the show. Liz Harrington, welcome to America First.
Hey, Sebastian. Thanks so much for having me.
I got to ask you, because I haven't seen the boss in a couple of weeks, how excited is he to be back on the campaign trail?
Oh, he's loving it. He can't wait to get back out there, and you could feel it. You could see it on Saturday. The people want it. I don't know if you saw those crowds, but waiting since Friday,
yes.
Thousands of people. Doesn't exactly look like someone who lost the state of Arizona, by the way. But this speech, that clip you played, that was also one of my favorites when, the only good thing about the Biden campaign were those perfectly drawn circles for the six fake news media to sit in, and they definitely were not drawn by Hunter Biden. I mean, President Trump literally hit everything. He hit all the major issues. He talked about the rigged and stolen election. He talked about what's happening to our country. And the people are responding. Our movement is growing. And yes, I can tell you he's so happy to be back out there, and he's not going anywhere.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
We go from the sublime to the ridiculous, don't we? We see headlines, Cleveland Indians change the team name to the Guardians. I don't know why that cracks me up so much, but it does. I don't want the Cleveland Indians to ever win another baseball game for the rest of their existence. That's so stupid. There won't be any more Cleveland Indians. Indians is offensive, so they changed the name. So now we got the Washington baseball team. Now we got the Cleveland Guardians with this stupid logo. That's what's important to people at a time when the country is headed in the wrong direction.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube.
All right, everybody. Dennis Prager here. Fred in Baltimore, Maryland. Hello.
Hi, Dennis.
Hi.
You said the left is evil. Let me tell you my definition of evil. $3.5 million in damage to the Capitol, 150 policemen injured, 80 of them injured seriously, 7 people dead. I think Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney are heroes because they want to know the truth, and I want to know the truth. I voted for Trump twice.
You want to know
what
the
happened
truth?
on January
So what do you?
6th
Would you like to? Are you troubled by the fact that thousands of hours of video are not being released?
I saw thousands of hours of video during the impeachment trial.
If you don't answer the question, we end the conversation.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
You don't
sound like a
understand
reality
that there
denier.
are thousands of hours of video that are not being released by the Department of Justice? Tell me, what is
But
there
you
not
called
to
it
understand, Fred? What is there not to understand?
don't-
If you
I don't
deny that it's
understand how
true,
could-
say you
I'll
think
tell
it's a lie.
I'll tell you what I don't understand. You gonna listen? I want to know how a peaceful protest ended with 80 police officers.
Okay, if you
seriously injured.
okay, you know what? This happens to every leftist. It happens. I know their tactics, and you should know your own tactics. I purposely take calls I differ with, and it's useless. I ask a question, and then it is never answered. Never. Fred, you lied to me. You don't care about the truth of the event. Well, you shouldn't have hung up, because I would have wanted your response. He hung up. I don't blame him for hanging up, to be honest. See, this happens all the time. If you ever find yourself in a debate with someone on the left, do not let them avoid the questions, and you don't avoid their questions. That's it. Thousands of hours of what happened are being hidden from the American people. All right? That's just a fact. And that should be troubling. If you say you care about the truth, that's it. Simple as that. So we will have to deal with a country that is accepting that the truth may never come out. As I said, I think if the Republicans gain control of Congress, the Democrats will destroy those videos. I very rarely make predictions. That would be one of them. Male-female hour is coming up with a particularly interesting guest, the current Miss Tennessee, which is perfectly appropriate for the male-female hour. I have a lot of interesting questions to ask. Stay tuned.
Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
Okay, I admire the man that's on the line so much that the show is named after him. Mr. Larry Elder, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Carl, for having me on. I appreciate it.
So tell us what the first goal of the campaign is, Mr. Elder.
Well, Carl, first of all, thank you so much for having me on again, and please call me Larry. And when Dennis first approached me to run, Carl, I said, two things could happen. I could lose, I could win. Both are bad. And the reason I turned down is because, the state is dominated by lefties, two-thirds supermajorities in the Senate, two-thirds supermajority in the Assembly, and then, of course, you have this left-wing governor, and this has been the way the state has been run for decades. That's why crime is going up. That's why we got a problem with homelessness. That's why the quality of schools has gone down, and that's why people can't buy a house, and so many young people are leaving and going to places like Tennessee and Florida and Texas. So I thought it was hopeless. But then more and more people began to approach me, people I respect, like Lionel Chetwynd, the longtime filmmaker, people like Pastor Jack Hibbs, and more people said, wait, wow. Larry, if not you, who, and if not now, when? I hope that doesn't sound arrogant, but the more I thought about it, the more I felt that I'd be shirking my moral and spiritual responsibilities if I didn't at least try. I never liked politics. I've never run for anything. Check that. I ran for fifth grade president against William Moy. I took Carl 3 out of 4 rows. They're still cleaning up the blood. It was a slaughter. And so that was the last time I ventured into politics. I don't even remember what my agenda was. All I know is that I beat him. And all right, well, I never even thought about doing politics. But my goodness, look at what's going on in our state.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
Don't you get tired of commercials screaming at you to buy gold now with inflated promises on future values? In an unregulated industry, you need honest, real experts to give you solid advice to protect your wealth and top picks on the best coins and bullion based on real-time data and historical trends. For example, as environmental policy becomes a hot topic, one precious metal that's been significantly undervalued for years is potentially set to surge. Nick Rovich, owner of AmFed Coin and Bullion, has long recommended this precious metal. Up to 600,000 ounces of this rare metal will be needed by 2030 to produce green hydrogen. Nick is doubling down on this pick, and you should too. Call Nick at AmFed Coin and Bullion to find out more. I've been friends with Nick for years, and he's my go-to guy when it comes to coins and bullion. I trust him. He is a good and very knowledgeable man. Call Nick at 800-221-7694, 800-221-7694, AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com. Not one mistake.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Some lawyer hit a little girl.
Former cancer patient Sharon Blackwell was struck by an oncoming vehicle.
Take this into evidence, sir.
I need to call my wife.
You've been accused of texting while driving. Before you take your daughter off life support, give God room to be God.
You're not guaranteed another day, but you have today.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
The biggest story nationally is that Nancy Pelosi is attempting a coup in the House of Representatives. The Speaker has never been nonpartisan as they are in the British Parliament, but they have always respected party rule of their own caucuses and committee assignments, etc. Nancy Pelosi, having lost the effort to get an independent commission established for January 6th, that didn't get through the Senate because it was a not fair piece of law, and therefore it's languishing. She decided to put together her own committee. Again, that's her prerogative as the Speaker of the majority party. She usurped one of the positions on, it's not a fair split. Normally it would be 13 members, 7 Democrats, 6 Republicans. The leader of the Republicans would name the 6. Speaker Pelosi took 8 of the seats and named Republican Liz Cheney. People kind of thought about that for a while. They didn't like the precedent of the Speaker putting a member on, but they overlooked it. And Kevin McCarthy named 5 other members, including ranking minority member Jim Banks, a friend of mine from Indiana, who is a relative newcomer, but he is the largest elected member of a caucus in the House of Representatives. Jim Banks leads the Republican Study Committee. He has broad and deep support in the House caucus, and then 4 other people to go along with Liz Cheney. And Nancy Pelosi vetoed Jim Banks and Jim Jordan, and the Republicans are out. Never before even considered. The most radical thing by a person who is alleged to be investigating radical behavior. Nancy Pelosi never misses a chance to be hyper-partisan and destroyed by partisanship. There will be no panel. There'll be a Nancy Pelosi circus.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Fiance? No, I can't be your fiance.
You're gonna go. You're gonna be my fiance, and you're gonna be the most amazing, fascinating, most successful man ever. We're only gonna be there for a few hours, eat dinner, and I promise we'll have the best breakup of all time.
My baby, my princess. Oh, yeah.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com. Streaming on Salem Now.
Things just happened.
My girlfriend and my best friend.
You got 30 days to grow up, son.
Nathan Hannigan, it is good to have you home.
Donuts, Nathan.
Well, you don't mind my giving her your room, do you?
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com. Streaming on Salem Now.
Get back or I'll shoot you.
The ones left inside for the pastor and his 2 daughters.
If you run, I'll shoot your family. Nobody cares whether I live or die. It's bad.
I'm not going to stand around and be a part of it anymore. Give me the gun.
Stream.
Hi, everybody. Male-female hour every Wednesday. I'm Dennis Prager. Most honest talk I know of in the American media about men and women. And my usual opening comment is, I am neither a man fan nor a woman fan. I am a good person fan. And all of you know that to be true. My agenda is that the sexes understand each other better. Oh, yes, I do have an agenda. I believe there are only two sexes. I never actually said that. You know, now that I think of it, the male-female hour is a somewhat antiquated term. That I have limited the hour to only males and females. But that gives you an idea of the Orwellian world into which we have entered. Anyway, I explore a lot of these, every issue that I can think of, and through various, well, basically family contacts, we learned that Miss Tennessee, specifically Miss Tennessee Volunteer, I'll explain that in a moment, was in town, and I thought, you know, why not have her on the show? There are a lot of questions that I have, and sure enough, she's here. Her parents are with her. She's Amelia Collins. And you could obviously look her up, and I'm sure many of you will. Most logical instinct. And welcome to the show, Amelia.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, first of all, explain the difference between Miss America and Miss Volunteer America.
So Miss Volunteer America is similar to Miss America before the changes, before it became Miss America 2.0, in the sense that we have a swimsuit still, we have evening gown, we have talent, and interview. And I think our scoring is also a little bit different in the sense that interview actually accounts for the majority of our score.
Really?
Yeah, 40% of our score.
Oh. That's a lot. How does it break down how are the other percentages?
They're all even. They're 20% each.
So talent, interview, swimsuit, gown.
Yes, and then we also have an onstage question for final night.
I know. Well, those questions have always been problematic to me. It's somewhat like, would you like to see the world peaceful?
Yeah.
But you don't know what's coming, right? You don't know what this.
You have no idea. You actually
right.
picked the question out of a fishbowl.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So, what was your question?
So my question started out by saying your generation is often considered entitled, but what's one word that you would use to describe your generation?
Oh, that's a toughie as an immediate response. So, what did you say?
I chose to say the word educated, and I explained that I feel like my generation has access to a lot of resources, and we can use that in whatever way, but we definitely need to take advantage of having social media and that sort of thing.
So wait, the question was, a lot of people would describe your generation, what was the term, as what?
As entitled.
Oh, as entitled. Oh, yes. Now, so of course, we're all thinking, what would we answer? So this is why, among other reasons, because swimsuit would not do well with me, but in all seriousness, if I were in a competition like that, as soon as you asked it, my mind raced, and I came up with indoctrinated. That's really what I think this generation is. It's been indoctrinated. But anyway, that you don't have to react to that. I'm just thinking what I might have said. So educated is certainly accurate. So this is an alternative to the Miss America contest. Now, so let me get to a question that, it's sort of the elephant in the room. I want you to know, there's no way you would know this, though I have not seen a Miss America contest since I lived in my parents' house when I was in college, which is some time ago. My parents watched the Miss America contest every year. And there was always a swimsuit competition. My parents, in my case, were religious Jews. I know you come from a religious Christian home. And it wouldn't even occur to them that there was anything wrong with it. In fact, my father would discuss with my mother why he liked, Miss Utah or whatever it might be, and then she'd say, "Oh no! But are you kidding? Did you see Miss Michigan?" And it was great. It was so wholesome, so to speak. And they're out there, obviously in their bathing suits. So I completely objected to Miss America contest forcing the women. The people for women's choice said you have no choice. There is no swimsuit competition. So your Miss America or Miss Volunteer America competition has kept it in.
Yes.
So you come from a religious Christian home, correct?
Yes.
Are you still Christian?
Yes.
Not unfortunately, not every kid who raised in a Christian home stays Christian, as we well know. Okay, so how do you, if you indeed need to, reconcile the swimsuit competition and your religiosity?
I honestly don't think it affects me that much. I look at the swimsuit as something that's so empowering, and it also gives me a chance to make sure that I'm still staying healthy mentally and physically. And so I don't really think it affects my relationship with God or my religion in any sort of way.
Right. Are there other religious women in the competition?
Yes. At mine and at Miss Tennessee Volunteer, the majority of them were Christian.
Right. Look, as I said, I defend it. Look, there's a sexual element. I think it's silly to deny it, obviously. Mm-hmm. Beautiful women in swimsuits has a sexual connotation. I don't think that's an issue. It's funny, as I've pointed out, you might find this of interest. When America was much more religious, they were completely accepting of the swimsuit competition. Mm-hmm. Secular America doesn't like the swimsuit competition. That's the irony.
That is. I think a lot of people assume that it objectifies women, but I think they forget that we have the choice to compete in that, and we are making the choice to do swimsuit, and it's actually something that a lot of us look forward to. I mean, that was one of my favorite aspects of the competition, and it's also super glamorous, and it's really fun to strut across the stage in a swimsuit.
Good. I'm glad you said it. That's exactly right. Why shouldn't it be? There's something, everything is upside down in the world in which we live. Why? Your reaction is perfectly legit. I'd like people to call in if you're listening and you think that it objectifies women, by the way, which to a certain extent it does. Who isn't objectified? I mean, actually, you know what? We should do an hour on the male-female, on the whole issue of objectification. Everybody is objectified in a certain sense. You objectify your doctor. You don't see your doctor has one role, to be a doctor. Everyone is objectified in some way, and if there's an element of sexual objectification, so what? Nobody gives the second sentence, and therefore what? You're not seen as more than that? That's ridiculous. Let's talk about the more than that. You're in math, is that correct?
Yes, I'm a biomath major.
Okay, there you go. She's a biomath major.
It's a new major, actually. It's fairly
Oh, yeah,
new.
now that you mention it, you're right. There's a new major every week, basically. Half the time I ask a college kid, what are you majoring in? I don't understand the subject. What is biomath?
So it's a combination of biology and mathematics, but we use a lot of math modeling to describe and explain biological phenomena. I haven't gotten super into my major courses because I'm coming up on my junior year, but so far I've done a lot of research with epidemics and kind of modeling how that works with certain populations, but it really covers computer science, honestly any type of science, and a lot of math as well.
All right, we'll be back with Amelia Collins, Miss Tennessee, in the new competition, as it were, out there. If you have any questions or reactions to anything that I have said, 1-8-PRAGER 776-877-243-7776. You are listening to the Male-Female Hour. This is the second hour of my show every Wednesday. We will be back in a moment.
Streaming on Salem Now.
218 out with him. Headed for the house. He's got a hostage.
You believe in God, Chip. Why does a kid die and a drug dealer get off scot-free?
Well, the only answer to that is there isn't a God.
You have a choice. You can either let the darkness overtake you, or you can be a bearer of the light.
So just think of it as calling for backup.
Officer down, officer down. You're the one God's called to be a shepherd.
Keeper, do you know who I am?
You are the author?
I am.
I don't know you.
Keeper, it's your son.
Hurry it up! Time is short.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. We are living in the age of surveillance capitalism. That's the title of a book by Shoshana Zuboff, whose thinking has shaped my own as we look on the growing power of big tech. The biggest flaw in most tech companies' business models is a general willingness to loot an individual's personal information, and thus his or her privacy without payment for this data and without informed consent. Did you know that a small percentage of apps provide your consent to remotely turn on your phone's microphone and record you after you sign their terms and conditions? I imagine your response is like mine. What? I'd never agree to that. I am certain a hard line on personal privacy would have a greater appeal to the public than many other issues currently separating the parties. Watch that vast uncharted space in which party moves to restore data that has been taken and to repair walls of privacy that were breached long ago. Whoever gets there first will be a long-term winner. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
Hunter Biden's getting $500,000. It's a bribe. It's disgraceful. And the fake news media is talking about it like it's okay.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what if Eric, what if Don Jr. were getting a cool $500,000 for some scribbles? I need to go to Central Park. I need one of those portraits. Let's ask somebody who's on Team Trump officially. She is President Trump's spokesperson, also the Save America PAC, and we're so excited to have her on the show. Liz Harrington, welcome to America First.
Hey, Sebastian, thanks so much for having me.
I gotta ask you, because I haven't seen the boss in a couple of weeks, how excited is he to be back on the campaign trail?
Oh, he's loving it. He can't wait to get back out there, and you could feel it. You could see it on Saturday. The people want it. I don't know if you saw those crowds, but waiting since Friday,
yes.
Thousands of people. Doesn't exactly look like someone who lost the state of Arizona, by the way. But this speech, that clip you played, that was also one of my favorites when, the only good thing about the Biden campaign were those perfectly drawn circles for the six fake news media to sit in, and they definitely were not drawn by Hunter Biden. I mean, President Trump literally hit everything. He hit all the major issues. He talked about the rigged and stolen election. He talked about what's happening to our country. And the people are responding. Our movement is growing. And yes, I can tell you he's so happy to be back out there, and he's not going anywhere.
Hi, everybody. Dennis Prager here. And I have, this is the male-female hour, every Wednesday, the second hour, talking here to the representative of Tennessee in the Miss Volunteer America. It is now in its first year. It is the answer to the Miss America pageant. It does allow for a swimsuit competition. It does allow for evening gown competition. I have the Miss Tennessee winner in the studio, Amelia Collins. Her parents are here as well. I'm going to ask her father a couple of questions because he said something to me in the break, which is of great interest. But let me take a call first with, let's see, Al in Greenville, North Carolina. Hi.
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 This is Al.
Hi. Go ahead. You're on.
My daughter was a similar personality, similar. We're Christians, conservative Christians, and my daughter was in it several years ago when they did have the swimsuit. It was similar to what it always had been. She was very, very happy to do all the competition. Of course, the bathing suit, swimsuit was not her favorite, but she worked out and got in shape and said she wanted to look good, even though, that was not her favorite. But she did well. She was runner-up Miss America.
What state?
A few years back.
Oh, wow.
What state, Al?
North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You are in North Carolina. Okay, well, I appreciate you calling in. I'll tell you all something of interest, because I'm particularly interested in religion. I think the healthiest Christianity in history was developed in the United States. And it's not something even American Christians think about, distinguishing their Christianity from that of Europe, for example. But it was different in very, very many ways. For one thing, it was much more Old Testament based than European Christianity. But that's a theological issue I won't develop right now. But this is an example of what I consider the healthfulness, there's no word healthfulness, the health of Christian America, that while they believed in they were opposed to premarital sex, for example, but it would be okay if their daughter appeared in a swimsuit in a competition. And I think that that's perfectly healthy. And very rare, I might add. So anyway, I have Kevin Collins, who is Amelia's father, and you mentioned to me during the break that the change you have witnessed in your daughter. She was only 19 now, but even 2 years ago, she would not have appeared in front, forget the swimsuit, just would not have appeared in front of people and talked with such facility. So this has been a wonderful experience for her.
It's been an incredible growth experience for her. Amelia's passion is to dance. So when she danced, she was fine. Other than that, she was most content being in the shadows. She was very shy, very introverted. And to see her come out of that to what she is today has been amazing.
So you're a very, not only you're Christian, you're a very active Christian. You're involved in the Baptist Church, correct?
It's not the Baptist Church. It's a Church of God.
Oh, why did I think Baptist?
Most of Arkansas and Tennessee is Baptist.
Okay, so I had a good reason.
It's actually, our church has evolved into a non-denominational church.
Right, okay. So is it fair to say evangelical Christian?
Yes.
Yeah. And here you are with your wife, and you're very proud of your daughter, as you should be, I just might add. So this whole thing is of great importance to me. What do you think of the Miss America competition banning the swimsuit?
Well, I think it took a lot away from the girls, because I think that part of what they're exhibiting is their health and their fitness in the swimsuit competition, and so I think it really did take away from the competition.
I wonder what the ratings are. Alan, did we ever ascertain what Miss America TV ratings were in the last year or so?
Definitely down.
They're definitely down. I would be very curious. Well, Kevin, congratulations anyway. You have obviously a wonderful daughter. So back to you, Amelia. So you did not want to get involved at first. So what's your story? Go ahead.
So I started competing in Miss Arkansas's Outstanding Teen in the year of 2018. I was a junior in high school and the director of a preliminary local pageant. To compete at the state level, you have to win a local pageant. So the director of this local pageant found me on Instagram, and she saw that I was a dancer, and she called me multiple times and asked me to compete. And I said no, I think 2 times. And on the 3rd time, I said yes. And I almost dropped out of it at least 2 times, but with the convincing of my parents and, them telling me that, oh, Amelia, it's just an opportunity for you to dance, which is my biggest passion, and any chance I get to perform on stage, I'm going to take it. And I agreed to it, and I ended up actually winning that night. I won my first preliminary, and ever since then, I just kind of fell in love with pageantry.
So is it called, or is it known as a beauty pageant? What is it called?
At Miss Tennessee Volunteer, and I guess within the Volunteer America organization, I would consider it more of a competition. I mean, a lot of people do call it a beauty pageant, but say, for example, during the preliminaries, the week before the final night, we call it a preliminary competition.
What is do you know, Al, what is the Miss America thing called? I'm sure they would loathe the idea of being called a beauty pageant. So what is it called now?
I would just say the Miss America competition.
That's all they say?
Yeah.
Just Miss America competition?
Yeah, I think that's pretty similar across the board.
So where is your national event going to take place, and when?
Jackson, Tennessee.
Will it be televised?
Yes.
And are we in Jackson, Tennessee, what day?
Final night will be May 7th, but the preliminaries will be the week before.
Next May?
Yes, May of 2022.
So it's almost a year away. What are you going to do during the year, or other than be a student?
Yeah. So I actually defer from school for a year, and I'm the governor's spokesperson for character education. And the character trait that I chose to talk about would be inclusiveness and fairness. And so throughout my year, my goal is to talk to 75,000 students across the state of Tennessee. So basically visit every elementary school that I can, and then also speak to different civic clubs and visit hospitals, and then prep for nationals. So
you'll have a busy year.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, what do you think of the idea? Would you be proud of your daughter if she were in such a competition? 1-8-PRAGER 776-877-243 776. Male Female Hour, Dennis Prager Show.
I would be proud of my daughter.
Oh, thank you.
Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
The Scottsdale Unified School District, which, by the way, they still do not hold in-person school board meetings. They're still not holding meetings where they allow taxpayers to show up for public comment. I wonder why. Well, the Scottsdale Unified School District sent this out to parents across the school district. Parent legal guardian consent to participation in social and emotional behavior learning. The electronic signature attached to this annual verification packet authorizes SUSD to complete an emotional health and wellness screening of my child and to collect personal information, including but not limited to income or other family information, medical history or medical information, mental health history or mental health information, and quality of home and interpersonal relationships, student biometric information, or illegal, antisocial, or self-incriminating behavior, or individuals with a close relationship of gun or ammunition ownership. The Scottsdale Unified School District continues by saying to these parents, I fully understand that upon my request, SUSD shall provide any available information regarding the screening to me in a timely manner, including the dates, methods used, information collected, and the reason for administration.
Worth all the money he needs. Maybe he's got all the money he needs. How about this one of the most famous actors in America, Tom Hanks, making this major announcement?
Together we stand with all who understand what it means to be born and built from the land.
because this is the city we love and the game we believe in. And together, we are all Cleveland Guardians.
Now, you know they sat around and said, all right, we got to make this change. How are we going to tell our fans that we're not? I know, said the owners of the Cleveland Indians. I don't even know who owns the team, could care less. I don't even follow professional sports that closely. Maybe you do. It's boring. It's boring to hear people yammer about professional sports. The only people that are interested are people that are really into sports, and that's fine, but most people aren't. It's just a fact. Most people don't live and die by, the statistics and the standings in the AL West. I mean, and I'm not putting you down if you do, but most of us don't. All right. So I don't know who owns the team, but don't you just envision, what are we going to do? We'll pay Tom Hanks $10 million. We'll put together a slick video with dramatic music, and we'll show all these great shots of Cleveland, and we'll try to convince people that we're uniting by changing the name of the Cleveland Indians since 1915.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is the male-female hour. I have Miss Tennessee of the alternate competition to the Miss America contest called Miss America Volunteer or Miss Volunteer America contest. Different in that it has both the swimsuit and the evening gown competitions. It's not woke. That's the unwoke Miss America competition. And it'll be in May in Jackson, Mississippi. The Miss Tennessee winner. When did you win, Amelia?
I won June 19th. That's the night I was crowned. Yeah.
June 19th? And where was that? In the capital, in Nashville? Or
that was in Jackson, Tennessee.
In Jackson, Tennessee? Mm-hmm. And then the national will be in Jackson, Mississippi?
Mm-hmm. Or Jackson, Tennessee.
Oh, in Jackson. Wait. Mm-hmm. The national will be in Jackson, Tennessee?
Yes.
So by sheer coincidence, it's your state that the national competition will be?
Well, Tennessee was the founding state for the Volunteer America organization.
Oh, and so the first year it will be in that state. So presumably the next year will be in another state.
Yeah, probably. Okay, maybe so.
Where's Jackson, Tennessee?
It's like an hour away from Memphis, so.
Oh, good.
I guess it's still in West Tennessee. Yeah.
So you folks would not know the joke that goes on my show. I get calls from all over the country, and so I will pick up. So let's say it would even be Jackson, Tennessee. So, hello, Fred in Jackson, Tennessee. And then I will honestly ask, so where is Jackson? And I say, 20 minutes from O'Donnell. It happens all the time. People tell me another city I never heard of as the city of reference.
Yeah, that's happened to
so
me
you did a good job.
Sorry.
You see, you answered it correctly. An hour out of Memphis tells me something.
Okay.
Right? But 15 minutes from Jerry is not helpful. So are you dating?
No.
And that's because of your religiosity or what?
I think it's just because I'm focused on so many things in my life right now, whether that be, it was me focusing on my major or my dance career, but now I am solely focused on the job of Miss Tennessee Volunteer.
So I'll ask you the question that I ask virtually every woman under 30 that I meet. I am the opposite of what you were. Whatever the opposite of shy is, that's me. So I talk to strangers with the ease with which I talk to members of my family. And so I will ask a young woman, and I always ask, can I ask you a question? Needless to say, they always say yes. Okay. So here it is, so I'll ask you. And you can have one of two guarantees. One is guaranteed. It doesn't mean you can't have the other. It just means only one is guaranteed. So you could be guaranteed a great marriage, or guaranteed a great career, which guarantee would you want?
Personally, I would want to be guaranteed a great career.
So I'm curious, parents who were in the room, did you expect her to answer that?
Absolutely.
Yes. You did?
She's been focused.
Yes. So this is a fascinating thing to me, especially given that you are a committed Christian. I would think that in the religious world, the guarantee of a great marriage would come first. Is that, but not necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think so. Just.
Do you want to get married?
Yeah, I see it in my later down the line in the future for sure.
Right, that is your response. And by the way, I can never predict full marriages and families. Then we need more wonderful careers, just as from a societal standpoint. But so be it. You know, I am fighting somewhat of a losing battle, but that's okay. I fight these battles nevertheless. So, you do hope to marry? I mean, is that part of your life plan?
Yeah, I think so for sure, but definitely not anytime soon.
Not anytime soon.
Not anytime soon.
Right. So when would you start dating? Even you're 19 now.
I think maybe a good time would be at the time where I start medical school, maybe. I think I would probably be around 27 or 28.
You don't see yourself dating till your late 20s?
Maybe casually, but I plan to continue my education and also working in my community, and that's my main focus.
All right, we'll be back in a moment with Amelia Collins, Miss Tennessee volunteer, Dennis Prager, male, female, hour 1-8-Prager-776. ReliefFactor.com is the place to go if you care about relieving yourself of muscle or joint pain. I guarantee that. I don't guarantee it works. There's no such thing, but I guarantee it is the place to go and try because I use it. And I only use it because my wife used it, and I was never going to advertise them. But then she told me it had been relieving her knee pain for years. Give it a 3-week try. They actually say if it doesn't work in 3 weeks, it probably won't work for you. ReliefFactor.com, $20. That's by the way, for the 3-week try. ReliefFactor.com, 800-500-8384.
The Dennis Prager Show, live from the Relief Factor.
So are any of your children...
Streaming on Salem Now.
218 out with him. Headed for the house. He's got a hostage.
You believe in God, Chip? Why does a kid die? Drug dealer get off scot-free?
The only answer to that is there isn't a God.
You have a choice. You can either let the darkness overtake you, or you can be a bearer of the light.
So just think of it as calling for backup.
Officer down, officer down.
You're the one God's called to be a shepherd.
Keeper, do you know who I am?
You are the author?
I am.
I don't know you.
Keeper, it's your son.
Hurry it up. Time is short.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. We are living in the age of surveillance capitalism. That's the title of a book by Shoshana Zuboff, whose thinking has shaped my own as we look on the growing power of big tech. The biggest flaw in most tech companies' business models is a general willingness to loot an individual's personal information, and thus his or her privacy without payment for this data and without informed consent. Did you know that a small percentage of apps provide your consent to remotely turn on your phone's microphone and record you after you sign their terms and conditions? I imagine your response is like mine. What? I'd never agree to that. I am certain a hard line on personal privacy would have a greater appeal to the public than many other issues currently separating the parties. Watch that vast uncharted space in which party moves to restore data that has been taken and to repair walls of privacy that were breached long ago. Whoever gets there first will be a long-term winner. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Burka.
Hunter Biden's getting $500,000. It's a bribe. It's disgraceful. And the fake news media is talking about it like it's okay.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what if Eric, what if Don Jr. were getting a cool $500,000 for some scribbles? I need to go to Central Park. I need one of those portraits. Let's ask somebody who's on Team Trump officially. She is President Trump's spokesperson, also the Save America PAC. And we're so excited to have her on the show. Liz Harrington, welcome to America First.
Hey, Sebastian, thanks so much for having me.
I gotta ask you, because I haven't seen the boss in a couple of weeks, how excited is he to be back on the campaign trail?
Oh, he's loving it. He can't wait to get back out there. And
I don't know.
Yeah, that's why we're going to dinner tomorrow.
Should I tell him that I made history on history on three accounts? I don't know. Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dennis Prager, Male-Female Hour with Miss Tennessee of the alternate to the Miss America competition, which is the beauty of a country that is still somewhat free, that you can, in fact, create new things and compete. I wish your Miss America volunteer pageant competition much success.
Thank you.
And anyway, she's the Miss Tennessee, very young. Are most your age, 19?
No.
I wouldn't think so.
Not at all. I actually made history with my win on three accounts, one of them being I'm the first teenager to win since 1968.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are the other things that you made history for? I know one. First biomath major. Am I right or wrong? Hello?
Maybe that would be my fourth history.
So there are four exactly. What are the other two?
The first generation American, because of my dad being from South Africa, and then I'm the first non-vocalist winner to win in 30 years. Or first dancer. There was a piano winner within the past 30 years, but first dancer to win in a long time.
You broke 4 molds. Do you get close to any of the other contestants?
I did, definitely, throughout the week.
I would think so.
Yeah. You spend literally every second with
I
them.
want you to know that in the chair you are sitting, about 3 years ago, that was the last time I did something analogous. I had a woman who had been an Atlanta Falcons cheerleader.
Okay.
And this is a fascinating story. So there's a big anti-cheerleader movement on the woke part, because anything that where when women are in any way revealing of their bodies, this offends the woke. Because after all, among other things, it shows that men and women are different. We don't want that. But anyway, so I spoke about this war against cheerleaders, and I said, if you're a cheerleader, call me up. So people called, I got emails, and I invited one who lived in L.A., where I broadcast, to come into the studio. She had been in Atlanta Falcons. So the woman who comes in is dressed very modestly. And I know, I was going to say I know my women, but that doesn't come out right. I know my fellow human being and my fellow American, and I even said to her, I'm curious. You're particularly modestly dressed. I mean, not in it wasn't a chador or anything like that. And she says, well, I'm an Orthodox Jew. And I'm thinking, I'm having an Atlanta Falcons former cheerleader who's an Orthodox Jew.
Wow.
Talk about break the mold. Right, Alan? This blew your mind, which is very hard to blow Alan's mind. It just happens that way. So anyway, turns out that she was a cheerleader and met an Orthodox Jewish man, converted to Judaism, and adopted an Orthodox Jewish life. Now, this woman, as an Orthodox Jewish woman, was saying how much she treasured her time as a cheerleader and how many close friends to this day she made in cheerleading. And yet you have these crusaders out there like this is evil. And so I'm very happy that you found your niche here. I wanted you to answer my guarantee question differently, but what am I going to do? All right, let's see here. Let's take some of the calls here, and let's Sunset Beach, California. Antoinette, hello.
Hi, Dennis. Hello, Miss Tennessee. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You should be very proud of yourself. I'm in my 70s. I'll be a little older in September. And happy birthday, Dennis.
Thank
coming
you.
Up.
Yes.
My mom was Mexican. My father is Spanish. So I happened to be approached, and I became the youngest Miss Southgate in November of 1969, and the first Hispanic in 1969, and I proceeded to win 4 more pageants, although I was disqualified for Miss California. I wasn't tall enough. You had to be 5'4", 5'5", but you should be very proud. My dad was for it, my mother wasn't, but I'm glad my father pushed me because I have achieved so many things, and I assimilated to America. Yes, I was born here, but a lot of Hispanic families, they love this country, and they assimilated. We weren't allowed to speak Spanish until we were 10, so we wouldn't have an accent.
By the way, I want to make clear, not allowed by your parents.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
I want people
By
to
my
understand
parents.
that. Not allowed by society.
Correct.
Right.
But my father saw the prejudice, so we learned how to speak English first and assimilated to the flag, to our country. But it brought me out as well, and not to be afraid. And I was I was the first, youngest for Continental Airlines. They hired me at 19 and a half as an airline stewardess.
Wow.
So there's a lot of firsts that I made. I was Miss Southern California of South Bay, and it went on from there.
Well, look, this is a perfect example. This you would never have this in the New York Times. The New York Times, Washington Post, etc. They have these articles on how awful cheerleaders and pageant participants are treated. But the vast majority have your view, Amelia, and her view of it having been an utterly positive experience. But there will be no articles about you in the New York Times because they're on a crusade to have a joyless America. And I mean it, a joyless America. My memories of my parents enjoying the Miss America competition are very, very warm memories. All right, we'll continue with Miss Tennessee in a moment. Male-female hour, I'm Dennis Prager. Look at how many years later she looks at it as utterly positive.
Did you hear?
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Here's Tom Hanks. They enlisted Tom Hanks. They probably paid him a boatload of money. Then again, maybe they didn't need to because he's worth all the money maybe he's got all the money he needs. How about this one of the most famous actors in America, Tom Hanks, making this major announcement?
Together we stand with all who understand what it means to be born and built from the land. Because this is the city we love and the game we believe in. And together, we are all Cleveland Guardians.
Now, you know they sat around and said, all right, we got to make this change. How are we going to tell our fans that we're not? I know, said the owners of the Cleveland Indians, I don't even know who owns the team, could care less. I don't even follow professional sports that closely. Maybe you do. It's boring. It's boring to hear people yammer about professional sports. The only people that are interested are people that are really into sports, and that's fine, but most people aren't. It's just a fact. Most people don't live and die by, the statistics and the standings in the AL West. I mean, and I'm not putting you down if you do, but most of us don't. All right. So I don't know who owns the team, but don't you just envision, what are we going to do? We'll pay Tom Hanks $10 million. We'll put together a slick video with dramatic music, and we'll show all these great shots of Cleveland, and we'll try to convince people that we're uniting by changing the name of the Cleveland Indians since 1915.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Some lawyer hit a little girl.
The community is left in shock as former cancer patient Sharon Blackwell was struck by an oncoming vehicle.
Take this into evidence, sir.
I need to call my wife.
You've been accused of texting while driving.
If we don't make an example out of this guy, the public will crucify us.
Before you take your daughter off life support, give God room to be God.
You're not guaranteed another day, but you have today.
Get back or I'll shoot you.
The one's left inside for the pastor and his 2 daughters.
If you run, I'll shoot your family. Nobody cares whether I live or die. It's bad.
I'm not gonna stand around and be a part.
Yes, indeed, everybody. Final segment here. 1-8 Prager 776. Miss Tennessee in the alternate to the Miss America contest, Miss Volunteer America contest. The pageant final will be in Tennessee next May, and it will be televised. And I'm happy to promote it because I think what they did with the Miss America contest, the wokeness and the prudishness. I mean, the irony of it is it's the left that's prudish, except when it comes to robbing children of their innocence. I mean, everything about the left is just unhealthy, everything. So we give kids, we can have 5-year-olds have drag queen story hour in school, but we can't have Miss America contestants in swimsuits. It's sick. The whole thing is sick. Amelia Collins won the Miss Tennessee contest in this regard. And you're going to be spending the year going from school to school. What is the essence of your message? I know you said fairness and inclusion, but I don't follow it fully.
I think I just want to focus on the fact that, you know, if I can teach students at a young age to just love everyone around them, regardless of their differences, that can fix a lot of problems that come later on. But it's really just centered around inclusion and just love for everybody around you.
Well, that won't get you in trouble. That's clear. So have you already gone to colleges? Have you already gone to elementary schools?
Not yet. My school tour will start around the end of August, beginning of September.
Well, what's going to be? You're going to show up in a mask? What's the Tennessee issue with masks?
I'm not exactly sure if I will have to be wearing a mask or not. Don't know if I'm going to be teaching or speaking to them in an assembly setting or if I'm going to be going to classrooms. So I'm not quite sure about the details of that yet, but I do know that I will be speaking on Zoom.
But the very fact
well.
that they're having you go to schools is a good statement about Tennessee. They would not have a Miss California go to. I'll bet they. Well, maybe they would. I don't know. Now that it's kosher, because of no swimsuit. I really do wonder if they would have a Miss California go to schools now. They might not want. Well, if you were transgender, then anyway, didn't a transgender win in Nevada? Yeah. It's a new world, Amelia, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, good luck to you. Really good luck. Thank you for coming on. Thank your parents
Thank you.
for being with you. You're all a delight. And I will be rooting for you.
Thank you so much.
Unless I have, Miss Wisconsin on. And then I'll be torn. I don't know what I'll do. We continue on the Dennis Prager Show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't you get tired of commercials screaming at you to buy gold now with inflated promises on future values? In an unregulated industry, you need honest, real experts to give you solid advice to protect your wealth and top picks on the best coins and bullion based on real-time data and historical trends. For example, as environmental policy becomes a hot topic, one precious metal that's been significantly undervalued for years is potentially set to surge. Nick Rovich, owner of AmFed Coin and Bullion, has long recommended this precious metal. Up to 600,000 ounces of this rare metal will be needed by 2030 to produce green hydrogen. Nick is doubling down on this pick, and you should too. Call Nick at AmFed Coin and Bullion to find out more. I've been friends with Nick for years, and he's my go-to guy when it comes to coins and bullion. I trust him. He is a good and very knowledgeable man. Call Nick at 800-221-7694, 800-221-7694, AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com. Not one mistake.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Some lawyer hit a little girl.
Former cancer patient Sharon Blackwell was struck by an oncoming vehicle and
Take this into evidence, sir.
I need to call my wife. You've been accused of texting while driving.
Before you take your daughter off life support, give God room to be God.
You're not guaranteed another day, but you have today.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
The biggest story nationally is that Nancy Pelosi is attempting a coup in the House of Representatives. The Speaker has never been nonpartisan as they are in the British Parliament, but they have always respected party rule of their own caucuses and committee assignments, etc. Nancy Pelosi, having lost the effort to get an independent commission established for January 6th, that didn't get through the Senate because it was a not fair piece of law, and therefore it's languishing. She decided to put together her own committee. Again, that's her prerogative as the Speaker of the majority party. She usurped one of the positions on, it's not a fair split. Normally it would be 13 members, 7 Democrats, 6 Republicans. The leader of the Republicans would name the 6. Speaker Pelosi took 8 of the seats and named Republican Liz Cheney. People kind of thought about that for a while. They didn't like the precedent of the Speaker putting a member on, but they overlooked it. And Kevin McCarthy named 5 other members, including ranking minority member Jim Banks, a friend of mine from Indiana, who is a relative newcomer, but he is the largest elected member of a caucus in the House of Representatives. Jim Banks leads the Republican Study Committee. He has broad and deep support in the House caucus, and then 4 other people to go along with Liz Cheney. And Nancy Pelosi vetoed Jim Banks and Jim Jordan, and the Republicans are out. Never before even considered. The most radical thing by a person who is alleged to be investigating radical behavior. Nancy Pelosi never misses a chance to be hyper-partisan and destroy bipartisanship. There will be no panel. There'll be a Nancy Pelosi circus.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Fiance? No, I can't be your fiance.
You're gonna go. You're gonna be my fiance, and you're gonna be the most amazing, fascinating, most successful man ever. We're only gonna be there for a few hours, eat dinner, and I promise we'll have the best breakup of all time.
My baby, my princess. Oh, yeah.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com. Streaming on Salem Now.
Things just happened.
My girlfriend and my best friend.
You got 30 days to grow up, son.
Nathan Hanning, it is good to have you home.
Nona, it's Nathan.
Well, you don't mind my giving her your room, do you?
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com. Streaming on Salem Now.
Get back or I'll shoot you.
The ones left inside for the pastor and his two daughters.
If you run, I'll shoot your family. Nobody cares whether I live or die. It's bad.
I'm not gonna stand around and be a part of it anymore.
Give me the gun.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com. Streaming on Salem Now.
There's about 57 Muslim states in the world. There's one Jewish state.
The massive ingathering of Jews in the last 150 years back to the land is absolutely unprecedented.
They say that there's no greater sign of redemption coming than the Jewish people returning to the hills of Judea.
As a Christian, I've always supported Israel's claim to the Holy Land. To me, the Palestinians were just getting in the way of God's plan.
300,000 Palestinians are unemployed.
In spite of all the years of conflict, there's hope here, if you know where to look for it.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
There will be no masks in Florida. Ron DeSantis yesterday spoke to us. Cut number one, the governor of Florida, on the questions of masks and school kids.
We look forward to this upcoming year to be a normal school year, be in person and live like normal and learn like normal kids. There's been talk about potentially people advocating at the federal level imposing compulsory masks on kids. We're not doing that in Florida, okay? At the end of the day,
we're not doing that in Florida. We're not doing it anywhere that I have anything to say with it, because it's silly and it's stupid and it doesn't work. Kids touch their faces. Kids take those masks off. Have you ever seen kids with masks? It's a
Hello, my friends. I'm Dennis Prager. Great to be with you. We live in a very confused time. Here's an example. There are infinite number. Well, no, there's no such thing as infinite number. There is a very large number. 90% of Detroit residents want more cops. My laughter is the laughter of contempt. Okay? Because of the 90% of people in Detroit who want more police, what percentage of them will vote Democrat? Probably 80%. Right? Right. How do you explain that? If you are a Democrat, God, would I love to hear from a Democrat. I wouldn't argue with you. I would just want to know, how do you explain how anyone who is opposed to getting rid of police in any number can vote Democrat? Another way of putting the question is there any position the Democrats could take that is left-wing, Obviously, they could take a right-wing position, and that would alienate their base. Is there any left-wing position that Democrats could take that would cause you as a Democrat to vote Republican? The answer is probably no. New poll from USA Today and Detroit Free Press, two left-wing sources, conducted with Suffolk University. Detroit residents overwhelmingly agree they would feel safer with more cops on the street. Do you understand that the world of absurdity we have entered, that I have just read to you what I just read to you? Detroit residents overwhelmingly agree they would feel safer with more cops on the street. That, to me, is tantamount to Detroit residents overwhelmingly agree they would feel better with air than without air. Detroit residents overwhelmingly agree that staying underwater for more than 3 minutes would be uncomfortable. It's up there with those comments, you know? You would feel safer with more police. God, that is one radical position. 21% of likely Democratic voters even want the return of the plainclothes anti-crime police in some neighborhoods. It's a strange way of putting it. I mean, 79% are against it. 79% of Democrats in Detroit are against plainclothes policemen. You certainly do. Yes, indeed. In Chicago, another poll last month, this is all from the Daily Mail, found that 79% of residents in Chicago said they would feel safer when they see police in their neighborhoods. 21% of Chicagoans would feel less safe. That is a very sick group of human beings. Sick. I don't care what color they are. Sick black, sick white, sick yellow, sick brown, sick. Means that they believe CNN, but not their own lives. Yes. Defund the police. Anybody who was for defund the police should be removed from office, it would seem to me. Okay, thought I'd share that one with you.
How about the mayor of Seattle?
The mayor of Seattle, she has come out for police.
They want more police.
Huh?
She wants more.
I know, I said she's come out for police, yeah. Well, at least to her credit, she did veto Seattle City Council bills to defund police. Why will those Seattle councilmen or women be reelected? Another one from the Daily Mail. Billionaire George Soros donates $1 million to racial justice organization seeking to defund the police. Outside of violent criminals, I can't think of a worse human being than George Soros. There may well be, but I just can't think of any at the moment. This man is a conscienceless human being. He is, in my opinion, a psychopathological. An active pursuer of evil. And there is nothing more remarkable, in the worst sense of the word, than when Jewish organizations attack people who attack George Soros for being anti-Semitic. I'm curious, if you attack Trotsky, are you an anti-Semite? If you attack, what was the guy's name? The guy who had, got either hanged himself or got hanged in prison with all the young girls, huh? What was Epstein's first name? Anyway, if you attack Epstein, are you an anti-Semite? That's why if you attack Soros, are you anti-Semitic? donated $1 million to the Color of Change PAC. Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. Wow. That was his most generous donation in 2021. He supported the organization's efforts to minimize police budgets. But he is the one, he donated $2 million in February to L.A. District Attorney George Gascon's campaign. Yeah. By the way, you like those ideas? You know, you can steal under $900 and it's just a misdemeanor. Did you see another Daily Mail piece? License to shoplift. There's a video. 2 men casually walked out of an LA area TJ Maxx with their arms full of what appears to be stolen goods, as brazen shoplifters continue to rampage through California retail stores. You could thank George Soros, among others, for this. Yeah. I wrote, you could check it. I wrote about Soros, I'd say about 8 years ago. An analysis of the guy. You could take a look. Do Dennis Prager, George Soros. You'll see what I wrote about him. That looks great, one man is heard saying in the video as the 2 men head toward the door with the stolen loot, making no haste as they leave. Yeah, they just sauntered out. You got to see this video. Hands full of with clothing. The men eventually fill a black sedan with the stolen merchandise before nonchalantly driving away from the scene. They didn't even run out. They walked out. Los Angeles Police Department Sergeant Jaretta Sandoz told CBS Los Angeles. And so that's sending a message that the criminals are winning. You might say. The criminals are winning because the left is winning. The left is a criminal fan. Sandoz, who is also vice president of the Los Angeles Police Protective League, added, if they're caught, they're probably given the equivalent of a traffic ticket, so it's not taken seriously. If they're caught, A, that's A. B, they're given the equivalent of a traffic ticket. Sandoz cited an incident in which an employee of a Rite Aid in Glassell Park was shot and killed last Thursday after he tried to stop 2 men after stealing a case of beer. The dead employee was identified as 36-year-old Miguel Penaloza. According to criminal defense attorney Alexandra Kazarian, Penazola's death shows that store employees are fearful of confronting shoplifters who might use violence if someone tries to stop them. This is a very big deal when society sends the message, you let evil take place because you might get hurt stopping it. It might be the right message on an individual level, but it is calamitous on a societal level. I'm Dennis Prager. I return.
Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
Billions of dollars have been spent creating housing for the homeless, and all you're doing is inducing other people from other states to come to California, enjoy our wonderful weather and the compassionate way that we treat homelessness, and get a free home. And until you deal with the underlying reason, Carl, why people in the streets in the first place, none of this matters. I urge us to get the pastors involved, get the churches involved. They know what to do. They know how much better to deal with this than can a government.
Right now, the governor is hostile towards churches, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. They were handing all these mandates down, letting people not worship. many of these people are schizophrenic. The person that was hitting the baseball bat on the sidewalk, that person sounds like he's a danger to himself and to others. And I'm sorry, those people need to be physically picked up. And then the rest of them have alcohol problems or drug problems, and they need to be treated. Now, what we've done with Proposition 47, the idea was, okay, if somebody goes in and steals $950, they ought not be put in jail. Many of them are stealing money to support their drug or alcohol habit. Let's not throw them in jail. But without the threat of throwing them in jail, why would they go into treatment, which was the goal behind Proposition 47? So they're not going into treatment. They go, why should I go into treatment? What happens if I don't? Well, nothing. You don't go to jail. Okay, I'll steal $950 every single day, by the way, support my drug habit without having to go into treatment. You remove the threat of making people go to jail. There's no reason why they ought to go to treatment. And then if we get them to become self-sufficient, where are they going to live? We don't have low-cost apartments, low-cost housing. That's because there's been hostility against people who are building homes. When I become governor, I'm going to suspend CEQA. That's the California Quality Control Act that has allowed anybody for virtually any reason to file a lawsuit to stop almost anything. That's why so much of our housing is so expensive.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
I was pretty confident, like 95% before I went to Trump Tower a few weeks ago to see the boss. After I met with him, it was 98% that he's running for re-election. When is he going to make it official, Liz?
I wish I could break news with you and your great show, Sebastian, but no, that is his news to make. It is his decision, but as he said several times recently, he thinks that the people will be very pleased with the decision that he has made.
Good. All right. So here's the big question. The rallies are great. He clearly gets lots of energy from it. People are re-energized after the events of last November. It's clear from the crowds in Arizona and elsewhere that, it was just a sham. What is the message from the Save America PAC, from you, from the Trump upper tier, to those Americans, and there's a lot of them, because I receive the DMs, they comment on my social media, who just say, that's it, I'm not going to even bother to vote anymore because they stole it last time and I'm not going to let them steal it again, and there's just no point.
Well, we have to be unified, and we can't let them steal it from us. I mean, if we just sit back and do nothing, then they will have won. They will have gotten away with the most corrupt, rigged, fraudulent election in history. And that's why the president is not giving up. That's why we're still fighting for these audits. That's why we see these great patriots in Arizona, in Georgia. Now Pennsylvania's moving, Wisconsin's moving. We cannot give up on this.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dennis Prager. And let's see, where are we here? What happened? Oh, there it is. Okay. John in Chicago, thank you for calling. Hello.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm well. Thank you for calling.
Thanks for taking my call. I think that police are essential, and I respect police. I know a few people who are police officers. In fact, a very good friend of mine is a homicide detective in Denver. I have had good interaction with the police officers in my neighborhood. I think that they are essential for civilized society to survive. But at the same time, I also think we ask police to do too much. I think they're overly militarized. I think there are abuses that need to be addressed and structural problems that need to be addressed. I don't think cops are perfect. I think we should reprioritize the way we spend money on policing in some ways. Does that make me a terrible communist or something in your view?
It's one of the strangest questions ever posed to me. I won't even answer
Well, I mean,
it because it's a stupid question. And it's not
Okay,
what you
does it
told
make
the
me a
screener.
leftist?
It's not what you told the screener. You said that you support the police, but you vote Democrat. Why don't you
I do
speak to
vote
me about what
Democrat,
you called in
generally.
on? Do you think that I think?
okay.
Do you think that I think that people who think that there are structural reforms needed are communists? Why did you ask that question?
Well, I think you.
Why did you ask that question?
I think you tend. I asked it because I think you tend to portray people who think that we need to change the way we do policing as leftists or whatever. So
leftists
if I'm
want
wrong
to
use
defund
that
the
term-
police. Of course, you're wrong. Leftists want to defund the police. AOC, the entire squad. Every leftist mayor in the country that I know of came out for defunding the police.
Okay, well, my Democratic state senator, my Democratic congressman, my two Democratic federal, U.S. senators, and the Democratic president I vote for, none of them want to defund the police. None of them want to abolish police. None of them.
Okay.
Not one.
Your Democratic mayor will not have an interview with a white reporter. Are you going to vote for her?
Why did you ask me that question?
Because it's so relevant to why I don't think you should
it's
vote
totally
Democrat.
irrelevant.
If we have
why don't
any,
you, why don't you ask me about the subject? Why don't you ask me about the subject?
Because the subject was exhausted. You think that
Does
the
the Democratic
Democrats
mayor-
are pro-police. I don't. I prefer clarity to
Democratic-
agreement. Okay, I think you have I think you have a complete misunderstanding of where the Democrats are on defunding police. That you could name a few who have said we're not for defunding the police is, of course, accurate. Okay, so we differ on that. So I moved on to another question. Will you vote Democrat for a mayor who is a racist?
Sir, I didn't call you about that. I called you to tell you that none of the Democrats who represent me, sir, none of the Democrats who represent me want to get rid of the police.
Right. If you, I can't speak to every Democrat who represents you.
Isn't that the subject?
No,
Isn't that the subject, Mr. Prager?
No, the subject is not your personal representative. The subject is the Democratic Party mayors in our biggest cities that had riots and destruction. They all came out for defunding the police, and you vote Democrat because your personal representative is against defunding the police. I find that naive.
Did you just say the mayor of Seattle was opposed to defunding the police?
No, I said that the mayor of Seattle, in fact, vetoed. I gave her credit. I am very honest, sir.
Okay.
I gave her credit.
Okay, so
yes. So therefore, what? So she is not Yes. So she is not representative of most mayors. But however, the city council is Democratic, and they voted to defund the police. Is that correct?
They don't represent. They don't represent me. Does the mayor of Chicago want to abolish the police?
I have no idea.
Oh,
None of them want to abolish it. They want to defund.
Maybe
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe you should know something. Maybe
No. I do know.
The mayor of
Okay.
Chicago before you call her a racist.
Oh,
Maybe
she is a
you should
racist.
Know something about her.
I'm telling you. Wait, what does that have? Now you're changing the subject, which is fine with me. Did the woman say, "Okay, allow me to speak, or I have to put you on hold"? All right. Okay. I'm putting you on hold because I don't have a chance to speak with you, and I don't like to yell. Did she or did she not announce she would not have an interview with a white reporter? Okay, that is my question to you. You're back on the air.
I'm sorry, what is your question?
I knew it. You probably kept talking the whole time I asked it. So I will.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, well, otherwise you would have heard me. Everybody else did.
You know, sir, when that's the subject of your show,
okay,
I'll call
sir.
you again.
I
thought maybe
all
you
right.
could-
Okay. Have a great day. There's nothing we can do. We've reached the helpless stage. Why did I call her a racist? Because she refused to have an interview with a white reporter. She announced it, and she's proud of it, and she's continuing that position. I don't know her position on defunding the police. It'll be an interesting question. Well, I do welcome those calls, believe it or not. They don't usually end up happy. But I think it's important. There are some Democrats who are not for defunding the police. Therefore, it's wrong to speak in general about the mayors of big cities having come out for defunding the police. This is what I am living through in the United States. I see and hear X, and then there are people who say, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" riots in the United States? Violent riots? Oh, January 16th was the only violent riot. We didn't have a year of violent riots all over America. What are you talking about, Dennis? There were mostly peaceful protests. The only violent riot that is addressed in the entire media is January 6th. What is it? January 6th? Yeah, January 6th. Which caused infinitely less damage than the riots of Seattle and the riots of Chicago and the riots of San Francisco. Or I don't know, did San Francisco have riots? I know they've had massive amount of crime. It's like what you see really didn't happen. Why would I brand the Democratic Party as for defunding the police? How silly of me. Did Joe Biden condemn a single Democrat who came out for defunding the police? I will send a $500 donation to the Democratic National Committee if you can name one Democrat by name that Joe Biden named in condemning the movement to defund the police. Okay. His position on the police was, like all positions, opportunistic. He read the tea leaves. It's like when he started condemning the riots last year. It was after Americans got sick of seeing their cities destroyed. Then he awakened. We will return. I'm Dennis Prager.
Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
And this goes to a question that Brian emailed us at freedom@charliekirk.com. He said, do you think that masks are coming back again? Of course. The mask mandates are going to be pushed forward in every major inner city across the country. So here's a question. If so many people are vaccinated, why are rates going up amongst even the vaccinated? They say, oh, it's an unvaccinated pandemic. Well, why are so many vaccinated people being testing positive? Why is that golfer having his life dream be torn away from him? What's his name again? He's a total stud. Jon Rahm, who now has tested positive twice for the Chinese coronavirus despite being vaccinated. What's going on here? Why is it that we have so many people in charge that want to go back to the inhumane practice of mandatory masking? Let's play cut 8. Joe Scarborough says that Biden needs to require public teachers to get vaccinated to get back to school.
Joe Biden needs to make the tough choice right now, and he needs to start in his own political backyard. And he needs to tell the teachers union that he's going to require every public health care person to get it, but also starting every public school teacher needs to be vaccinated.
Regardless of pre-existing conditions, regardless of exemptions. Now, of course, Joe Scarborough didn't mean to say public health scare. Of course, he wouldn't say anything like that.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
As I continue to travel around and campaign all around this Commonwealth, the crowds are huge. The support is absolutely comprehensive. It's independents, it's Democrats. You know, I was at an event about 10 days ago in Russell County in Southwest Virginia, and a bunch of Democrats came up to me and said, Glenn, we can't even recognize our party. They're so far left. We're voting for you. So we're seeing this everywhere, and that's why we're so confident we're going to win this fall.
By the way, I think President Biden is kind of radioactive because of the inflation. I want to talk to you about that. Chairman McAuliffe, in this article I hold, says he's got senior citizens on his side. Senior citizens are the most vulnerable to inflation of any group in the United States, Glenn, because many of them are on fixed incomes. What do you hear about inflation in Virginia? Because I see it in the grocery store. I'm wondering if you see it all over the state.
It's everywhere. Joe Biden has let the inflation genie out of the bottle. And we're seeing supply chains and every business actually increase prices, and that's translating into higher costs to all Virginians. And by the way, it's not just our elderly population that's going to suffer from this. It's families that are in fact having to pay more at the pump. I mean, gas prices are way up, and in fact, the Democrats in Virginia actually raised the gas tax on top of gas prices going up. And so we're just absolutely seeing this complete split between fiscal responsibility and, oh, by the way, a recognition that a good, strong, stable economy actually is durable, and what they've created in Washington is going to be a flash in a pan economy, and Virginians are going to suffer as a result. So when I'm governor, we're actually going to get the job machine turned back on. We're going to actually bring real business back to Virginia, and we're going to actually get small business going again.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and
This month, every August is not August yet, but we began a week early because I will be gone a week in August. Beginning next Wednesday, I'll be going to Hungary to give some speeches. And my birthday is August 2, which is next Monday. I will be here, and that's when we usually begin the fundraising for PragerU. If you're worried about this country, we're one of the better hopes for the country. It's as simple as that. We change minds because of very sophisticated videos and so many other things that we do. It's a vast operation now, PragerU. Probably the largest, certainly the largest conservative, the largest non-left video educational service that I know of in the world, with massive numbers of young people, 1 billion views more a year. 65% are under 35 years of age.
Getting younger.
It's getting younger? We're skewing even younger than that?
Well, because we've introduced a whole new...
Oh yeah, that's right. We now have an entire program for kids. That's right. With Otto Tales, for example. My wonderful English bulldog, Otto, actually features Otto and me in cartoon. Young Dennis, yes, that's true. It's ageless, an ageless Dennis. And we have a Prager Force, 15,000 young people around the world. And during fundraising month, I feature one almost every day. And in this case, it is Deborah Schwartzben, University of Maryland. And Deborah, welcome to my show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
What year are you in?
I'm a rising senior.
When did the rising begin?
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to finish up this degree and start working in the field.
Right. I'm curious, though, when did this term rising begin? Do you know? Was it always for you? Was it in high school? Did you say rising senior?
Yes, I would, only in the summertime, but now I don't even know if I could say senior, freshman. They're canceling all the terms for the classes. I think I have to say fourth year.
Now it's fourth year. They don't like rising senior. What are you majoring in?
Government and politics and public policy leadership.
So you are at what I know to be a pretty left-wing university, and you are in a department that in almost every university is on the left. And I take it you're not, because you're in Prager Force. So if that's a fair inference on my part, how does it feel?
It's been a tough road. I have had a lot of outreach. I've met specific people who have helped me on the journey, like certain teachers who have really just been there and said, regardless of politics, I want to be your professor. I'm here for you. I'll write you a recommendation letter. But I've definitely had my fair share of being slapped on the wrist by teachers just for simply not agreeing with their views. I even had a meeting with a teacher for 1 hour, my professor of public policy leadership. The whole class was just about your feelings. Have you ever had a problem with people misgendering you? And I stood up and I was like, how is this teaching us public policy? How am I learning to draft useful legislation to improve America? And she made me meet with her for 1 hour outside of class time to tell me that she doesn't care, in her own words, I don't care if you see me as a black woman. I am teaching what I want to teach, and just went along that for an hour. And I didn't respond. I didn't say anything, but in my experience, up until that point, I've never had a professor bring up their race to me. That was really something new for me in my studies, because I don't view you as anything other than my professor. Whether I like you or hate you really just depends on who you are and how you teach me. And bringing your identity into it and trying to even cast on me saying that I would dislike you because of that was really something that put a huge disdain in my mouth for the public policy department in general. So it's definitely had its ups and downs.
Wait, so this professor spoke to the class about not misgendering?
Yeah, she had us have group therapy sessions, is what I would call it, where the whole class in Zoom for the entire hour and a half would speak up individually, one by one, label how you identify yourself from a list of labels such as female, queer, gay, poor, rich, like really strict labels. You would have to present yourself as such and then talk about any time that those labels have brought you issues. So everyone in this class was very left-leaning. I was the only conservative or even moderate person.
All right,
So
I want to continue with that. Oh, my God. The stories from the trenches. Deborah Schwartz-Ben is a Prager Force student. We'll be back in a moment. Nerve Renew is a product that I asked to consider advertising on my show. It's worked out great. 300,000 people, not my listeners, but before I ever advertised, would have already been helped by Nerve Renew. I'm one of them. That's the reason I advocate it. If you have tingling, numbness in hands or feet, which I had in my feet for much of my life, Nerve Renew has helped tremendously. I no longer wear inserts because of them. Try it out 2 weeks for free and 1 year money-back guarantee. Try NerveRenew.com. Try NerveRenew.com.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
This rabid Trump-hating Republican replacing Jim Jordan or Jim Banks, take your pick. I saw Jim Banks yesterday, the Indiana congressman, on one of the Sunday morning news shows. I think he was on Fox News Sunday. Martha McCallum was guest hosting. Guy makes such a great point. He didn't say anything that was disqualifying. They're just going to ask why the Speaker's office didn't have the Capitol more secure. Did they have reports? What did they know and when did they know it? If they had reports before January 6th that there could be violence, why did they do it? Why did they do enough about it? Those are legitimate questions. Pelosi doesn't want those questions. You think she's going to get those questions from Adam Kinzinger? Here was Stephanopoulos with a cagey, grinning, maniacal Nancy Pelosi yesterday on ABC this week.
Will you be appointing more Republicans to the committee like Congressman Adam Kinzinger?
That would be my plan.
So when will that be announced?
Perhaps after I speak to Adam Kinzinger. But I'm not about to announce it right this minute, but you could say that that is the direction that I would be going on. He and other Republicans have expressed an interest to serve on the select committee.
Tolerate their antics. Hey, Madam Speaker, you're responsible for security at the U.S. Capitol. Why wasn't there better security on January 6th? How did those hundreds of people get to breach the Capitol the way they did? Oh, I'm not tolerating those antics.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
And this goes to a question that Brian emailed us at freedom@charliekirk.com. He said, do you think that masks are coming back again? Of course. The mask mandates are going to be pushed forward in every major inner city across the country. So here's a question. If so many people are vaccinated, why are rates going up amongst even the vaccinated? They say, oh, it's an unvaccinated pandemic. Well, why are so many vaccinated people testing positive? Why is that golfer having his life dream be torn away from him? What's his name again? He's a total stud. Jon Rahm, who now has tested positive twice for the Chinese coronavirus despite being vaccinated. What's going on here? Why is it that
to a fourth-year student, rising senior, whatever term you like, at the University of Maryland. She's in public policy, so she's in a left-wing arena, in a left-wing university. She's a member of Prager Force. So you were on Zoom with your class, and the teacher of this particular course spent I assume the entire session having everybody introduce themselves by their identities. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And when it came to your turn, what did you say?
I did what the class was asked, but I, of course, had to speak my mind after. I identified myself, what they wanted me to, white, middle, upper class, Jewish, how they wanted me to in their aspect. But then I spoke up and I was like, I've never really seen myself in these aspects of these labels. And a few other students kind of stood behind me and they were like, yeah, I don't think of myself as labels on a daily basis. I just, I'm focused on my success, not really how other people view me. And the teacher just shut it down instantly, and she didn't even open the conversation. She was just like, this is how we're doing it. Stop talking back. We can't waste time.
How many students were in the class?
About 75.
So she went through 75 identities?
Yeah, we had personal breakout sessions with just of our group members.
Because if everybody just took 1 minute, that's an hour and 15 minutes without breathing.
Yeah, that's the whole range of the class.
Wow. So did anybody say they were not male or female?
No one came out with their gendered terms. It was more about their pronouns, but
well, all right, but the pronouns, that's a giveaway. So did anybody say something other than he, she?
No, thank goodness in this class we did not have to get into that, but she brought up on her own, the professor, to ensure us that if people were to identify as such, that is okay, and we must accept them and praise them for such.
Praise them?
Yes. They are brave and courageous people.
Mm-hmm. Well, they may be brave, although I don't know what bravery it takes today when you're so celebrated by the society, but there's no question. I mean, of course you couldn't say this, but I can. They're sad. I mean, if we can't feel pity for people who don't know if they're male or female, then for whom can we feel pity?
Yeah.
It's really, there's something cruel about leftism. I want to celebrate your confusion. I want to celebrate your inability to make peace with your sex.
Yeah. It's like encouraging an alcoholic to come get drinks with you. Like, you want to help the people you care about, not necessarily enable them down the path that has caused them confusion or angst.
How long have you been conservative?
Since Donald Trump was elected.
Really? What
Yes.
What about that changed you?
So I went to yeshiva, which for people who don't know is Jewish school. I was raised as modern Orthodox, and I was taking a AP U.S. government class at the time when Trump was running, and I had the more religious men in my class advocate for things he was saying on his campaign, like build the wall and cut taxes, and I just looked at them and parroted everything I had seen and my parents had showed me on CNN and the Daily Wire, consuming the podcast, and I was like, you're racist, you're homophobic, you're sexist. And then I took a step back, and I was like, Deborah, you know who these people are. They're good men. They probably have merit for believing the things they believe in. So from an unbiased perspective, I just looked at all the facts. I started exposing myself to PragerU, to Ben Shapiro, to certain commentators I never listened to before. And from there, I just realized that's the world I want to live in, where family matters, freedom matters. Your children can't just run off and, you know, get abortions behind your back. There's a lot of things that drew me to that, and now I just feel comfortable and at peace in the conservative movement. I feel really morally aligned with the people, especially on Israel topics, so I'm very happy where I am today.
What's your favorite PragerU video?
So I have a few. The ones about Israel, about lies about Israel that leads to lies about everything, that one's very powerful for me. But there was one recently about the homelessness and how public policy enables the homeless problem. And I live in New York City, and it's gotten a lot worse recently. And with the people around me, you can't exactly start spewing conservative ideas and expect them to understand. So the format in which PragerU puts the information out there really creates a landing ground of just the basics of facts and understanding, which from there I can go to try and change people's minds, change who they're voting for. Because I really don't want New York to become like California with tents everywhere. We already have mattresses on the side of the street. I want to be able to walk down the streets safe, untouched from needles, untouched from feces. And
God, what demands you're making
yeah.
in society. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I might be asking too much.
Not seeing human fecal matter. You're asking a lot. So, in a nutshell, you got 30 seconds to tell people why they should contribute to PragerU.
So PragerU is unlike anything else that I have seen, especially on my journey from becoming a liberal to a conservative. It really creates the facts away from everything else going on in the world and just gives you this one point where everybody can agree on, and from there, that's how you can both and change minds. You need a basis because you can't argue facts for the rest of your life. You need to be able to come to some sort of logic that you can agree on. And also Prager Force. I love being in Prager Force. It's a really incredible opportunity for me to bounce ideas and get support from a huge network of these brilliant and dedicated young individuals. You know, we're not fighting an easy fight. We're fighting the systems. No one said it would be fun or easy or quick, but we can definitely make it a lot more enjoyable with the community support that we have and the creativity that comes with PragerU, too. It's fun with the children's books coming out, changing the education systems for K through 12, like K through 8. That's very important for the future of this country. So donate to PragerU, help us keep fighting this fight, help people like myself get more involved and bring the fight onto the college campus and feel prepared and equipped to have these debates with people and have real videos to show them what we're
all I
trying
can
to
say is I want people to know I never spoke to you before. You did not know what I would ask, but you're hired. Okay.
I'll book a flight to LA.
I guess I look forward very much to meeting you, Deborah. I went to Yeshiva too, by the way. I have a lot to reminisce about. PragerU.com, 833-PragerU. There are a lot of great Deborahs out there. We want more.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Some lawyer hit a little girl.
The community is left in shock as former cancer patient Sharon Blackwell was struck by an oncoming vehicle.
Take this into evidence, sir.
I need to call my wife.
You've been accused of texting while driving.
We don't make an example out of this guy, the public will crucify us.
Before you take your daughter off life support, give God room to be God.
You're not guaranteed another day, but you have today.
Get back or I'll shoot you.
Only one's left inside for the pastor and his 2 daughters.
If you run, I'll shoot your family. Nobody cares whether I live or die. It's bad.
I'm not going to stand around and be a part of it anymore. Give me the gun.
Stream on your phone, tablet, or TV. Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
The race is going extremely well. I'm in a dead heat with Terry McAuliffe, who's been doing this for 43 years. And Virginia voters are ready for a change.
I think you're actually ahead, Glenn Youngkin. I'll tell you why. Dan Ball's had a story in the Washington Post this week that polling is broken in America, systemically understating Republican support. So if you're tied in the polls, and you are, I actually think you're 5 points ahead of Terry. And I think Terry's worn out, tired, and boring. And I don't think he can beat you anyway. But it's good to run like you're behind, right?
Yeah, it is. You know, what's interesting is as soon as the polling came out last week, he called his friend Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's going to show up in Virginia campaigning. He's not coming far. He's just coming barely across the river. And I will tell you what this demonstrates is that Terry's got a failed record. I mean, when he was governor, the murder rate went up 43%. We're at a 20-year high in murder rate in Virginia. He's actually completely ostracized in the entire law enforcement community, and they know he won't stand for them. And Virginia's economy continues to trail all of our peer states, and everybody blames Terry and Ralph Northam for it. They shut down our economy. Terry absolutely didn't bring the number of jobs to Virginia that our peer states did, and Virginians are tired of it. They're ready for a new kind of leader who's going to build business, grow jobs, fix our schools, and make our communities safe.
I agree that you've got a great platform. I want to bring up this visit from Joe Biden. You've also got the hometown paper against you. The Washington Post sent out Sean Sullivan to cover this, and I've got the story in my hand. They do not mention you until paragraph 26. I counted.
Keep up with what's
My name is Dennis Prager. You know how boring my life is when I think about it? Same name my entire life. Same cisgender identification my entire life. Same sexual orientation my entire life. Can you think of a more boring life? I just have to acknowledge that. Okay. We have a lot of interesting calls. We have a lot of interesting subjects. Masks on kids now being mandated. I need to make my daily appeal to you. Don't send your kid to school. There is nothing good about most schools. Do you understand? It is a 90-10 damaging experience. Why would you do that? So the answer is you can't afford not to because both parents have to work, for example, or you're a single parent and you obviously can't stay home. I understand. There are very serious considerations here. However, I want you to adopt the great Hebrew saying. I was raised on Hebrew sayings. I need to write these up because they influenced my life as much as the Bible. And that's a big deal because the Bible was number one. There's a Hebrew saying, very simple. I'll say it in Hebrew because it's just 3 words. Masha batuach, batuach. And you can understand, you heard this same word twice. What is certain is certain. And there's another one. I'll tell it to you in English. Between certain and maybe, certain is preferable. So here's this. It is certain that the school will damage your child. It's not certain how much, but it is certain. Either socially, in this case, or physically, not breathing in fresh air, or morally, in the case of most schools. So you have to figure out, maybe your parents can help in you afford a homeschooling, which is not, I don't know how expensive it is, but a lot of middle class and even lower middle class people do it. My friends, my heart breaks for you as parents. You should be able to send your kid to school and not think a minute about it. We are not living in that society anymore.